Hello, everyone. Let me just fix some things. Hold on one second. Okay. The computer is really hot, so I'm going to move the computer out of the sun. Hold on one second. I'm just going to, I don't want it to overheat, so give me a second. Okay, let's see. Hi, everyone. I'm just moving my computer around because it's where it's positioned. It's really hot. So I'm going to try to move it to a spot where it's not so hot. See if I can do that. We'll see how that works. It's really hot where I am. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Okay, we'll see if this works. If the computer gets hot, I'm going to move again. Yeah, the computer's super hot. Okay, we'll see. We'll see how this works. We'll take it. We'll take what we can get. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome. Yeah, the Sirians have been coming in strong for so many of us the last couple of days. It's been amazing. I've been feeling them and feeling them every second of my day right now. So it's been powerful, to say the least. Let me just spray myself. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Lots of ships are appearing. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I did the live on Monday instead of Tuesday because I won't have Wi-Fi tomorrow. So here we are. All right. Live Q&A one more time. For those of you that are new, I do this every 2 weeks, every other Tuesday. Just answer all your questions, bring in some energy. I called in the Sirians and the Palladians today for this live that we're doing. So the Palladians will be with us as well, their energy connecting with us as we sit together. I invite you to sit down wherever you are, if you are moving around, and just ground into the energy that we're going to pull in during this Q&A. Open up your crown, allow some light to flood in. One of the things the Sirians were showing me today before I jumped on was that in this now moment that we're sitting here, we can, they're very funny. They're trying to access this in any possible way right now, right? Because they've opened up this portal, and it's sort of like their kind of playground at the moment. So they're trying to access us as much as possible. So one of the things they wanted to do with us today as we sit together in this moment is pour some light into our physical forms. Don't worry about what that means or how that's going to affect you or what to do with that. It just means to receive, right? Let's just receive some high frequency light as we're sitting here, not escaping from anything, just letting them pour it in. So if you are listening to this live or on the replay on my YouTube channel, I invite you to just sit for a moment, and even with your eyes open, right? Feel yourself grounded down wherever you are, whether you're sitting or lying. Just feel yourself, feel your sit bones, feel your body, feel this form, right? This is the form that's going to hold the light. And take a few breaths to just get present. And then open up the crown, open up your 7th energy center for a moment, just by intending it to get open. So you just ask for your 7th energy center to open, and it opens. And then as you're doing that, I'm just going to invite the Sirians to come into your space. You can invite the Sirians to come into your space and which they will. Those of you that have been playing with the Sirians, you'll notice that they come in. And then go ahead and allow them to just bring some high frequency light into the physical form, into your physical form, and just let your body move with that energy and feel that energy for a moment. Also, be aware that there is Pleiadian energy coming into the space as well with us right now. So there's energy in the heart center, energy in that fourth energy center that wants to kind of open or breathe. Kind of the breath wants to move into that space. So they're coming in as well to open us a little bit more. A lot of us are moving through some really intense emotions, thoughts, and beliefs that we've kept inside our physical forms for quite some time. And for a reason, because we didn't want to feel them completely. We didn't want to move them out of us. And so right now in this portal that we are in, and for the next couple of week and a half, it requires a huge amount of compassion and a huge amount of love for ourselves. And so the Pleiadians just want to enter into this space with us right now and sort of don't forget about this center right here, this energy portal right here, and allow it to open and allow the Pleiadians to bring some light and energy into that space to soften it. Huge amount of compassion for ourselves right now. Huge amount. So there's one message. So as you're sitting here, just keep that crown open. Let that light flood through wherever you are, okay? There is one message that came through that I want to share with you guys before I begin to open up to the questions. And it's about timelines and consciousness and becoming more aware of timelines, which are paradigms also. So in a timeline, there's the paradigms are existing and programs exist, right? Timeline holds a consciousness, it holds a frequency. And when we start beginning to awaken, pull more light and anchor more light into our bodies, start to shift into the next highest frequency, we start to get very conscious of timelines. We start to get very conscious of paradigms and programs that we are choosing to play in. We are also starting to get very conscious of choice, that this is all a choice, right? Including working with the Sirians or any other being, including listening to your higher self, right? These are all choices that you have, that we have, that I have. And the more awake you become, the more conscious you become, the more choices you have. And so when we speak about timelines, it's basically speaking about living in a past or living in the future, right? When you talk about a timeline, all it is a moment that is not in the now, okay? And when people talk about collapsing timelines, all they're basically saying is that you are energetically cutting yourself off from future timelines or past timelines and bringing yourself into a now moment. Right? You're collapsing all of these energetic connections to timelines that you've had in the past, timelines or experiences that you're having right now in the future, and you're just getting present. You're collapsing it all into the present now moment, which is the only thing that matters. And when you start moving into a present moment state, all of these timelines still exist, but you're not concerned about them. You're not worried about them. You're not moving into any of them other than the one that is in your now moment. And the reason this is so important is because it allows you to focus more on what is occurring now, which is your shift, which is ascension. It's allowing you to stay present and to feel more, to experience more, to expand more, to shift faster. When we are concerned about future or a past, right, then our energy is going in all of these other directions, instead of the now moment, which is all that matters. And so what they want us to recognize right now, because of this powerful portal that we are choosing to participate in, we are choosing to literally take this choice, this opportunity, and shift ourselves, co-creating this with these aspects of ourselves and these higher dimensional beings. Pay attention to where your focus is, right? Are you thinking of the past? Are you in a past experience? Are you thinking of the future? Are you in a future experience, a future timeline that you may be existing in this now moment, but you're not there yet? You're here. You're in this now moment. You're in this portal, right? You're here right now. And if you can bring your energy back into the now moment as much as possible and start focusing only on the now, you will shift much faster, and you will start to understand flow. You will start to hear more. You'll hear your higher self more. It's almost like you're bringing all of this, like all of your awareness and all this light, right? That's shining all the way out, and you're pinpointing it into the now. And when you bring all that light straight in, so you're only focused on this now path, right, with your feet on the ground and off you go, then everything becomes very acutely potent. You're aware, you're moving. What's now? What's in front of me? What's coming up? What's clearing? What am I feeling? What am I hearing? That's all that matters, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to do this, but this is what they are asking us to start to do. Right? Start to do this. Start to pay attention to collapsing everything, letting go of the past, letting go of the future, get present in the now, and start to learn how to be in whatever is showing up right now, which is we're like, what am I going to have for dinner? Am I going to watch The Bachelorette tonight? And what am I going to do tomorrow? All these things that we're thinking of, right? But then it's like, okay, let me get present. What's in my present now? What's in my present now? What's in my now? What's in my now? What's in my now? And we start learning this by recognizing what we're thinking about. Like, I'm thinking about the past things that happened. I'm thinking about the future things that I want, right? We start becoming conscious of that and aware of that. And then you collapse it down into this now moment. You let it go, because energetically, we are energetically connected to any now moment we've had in the past and any now moment we're going to have in the future. That's all happening in this now moment. So you have a choice to go back and experience and play in those now moments in the past. You have a choice to experience and go play in those now moments in the future, right? But they don't serve you. There's nothing there is no service in that, because that's not your now, right? So we have the ability to tap into these timelines, these aspects of us that are living in these other paths, but it's not the now. So it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time, right? And then you're not focused 100% on what is the now. Oh, I'm shifting. Oh, I'm moving through my ascension. Oh, I'm learning how to feel this emotion that I don't like. Oh, my body's asking me to sleep. Oh, my body's craving this food. Oh, this person's annoying me. Oh, I don't want to go to work today, right? Presence. Presence, presence, presence. That's collapsing timelines, you guys. It's very simple. There's nothing, foo-foo or like, complicated about it. When you collapse a timeline, basically all you're doing is you're getting into the present moment, and you are energetically letting those moments, those timelines, those experiences that you've had just be. They just are. It's almost like, imagine you're a train on a train track, okay? And your ascension journey is that track, and you're the train. Or you're on the train, let's say. Different, better analogy. You're on the train track is the ascension, okay? And there's always these stations along the way. And as a human going through the ascension journey, you get off on that station and you live that moment in that station. That station holds paradigms, it holds programs, it holds consciousnesses, right? And then when you're done, you get back on the train and you start moving again. Then you go off and you jump off and you're in another station. That station is different. It holds different programs and paradigms and ways of being. You're different, right? You're different in this station than you were in the station 3 miles back. And then you keep going on your ascension. There's another station, right? So there's all these stations along your life, right? There's stations in the future, there's stations in the back, and there's a station that you're in right now. If you're always looking back and looking at those stations that you've lived in the past, you're not present with the station that you're in right now. If you're looking forward and like, oh my God, I can't wait to get to that station. Oh my God, I can't wait to get to that station, right? You're not actually experiencing the station that you're in right now, getting the full benefit of the station that you're in right now. So start to look at timelines as that, stations on a train, right? On a train track. And when you collapse it, you're basically acknowledging and honoring all of the stations, but bringing your focus and awareness only on the station that you're in, right? Quantum reality, living in a quantum field, is living present moment with the knowingness that there are an infinite amount of stations along the train track. Big deal. You, as a multidimensional human, you are understanding that just because there are all these train tracks doesn't mean that I have to focus on them all. You focus on the consciousness that you're in. You focus on what's in the now. I don't know why they wanted me to share all of this with you guys, but I think it has to do with you really accessing the now moment in these next 2 weeks, week and a half, and really getting present and recognizing that when we are clearing these dense consciousnesses, right, and purging them out of our physical form, they're going to be attached to a past timeline, okay? They're not attached to a future timeline or a timeline that you haven't got off the station and walked into yet in this now moment, right? They're connected to past timelines. So you've got to be able to release those timelines. You've got to be able to let those timelines go. Let that experience be. Let it go. Energetically detach from it. Turn your back and stay focused on this now station that you're in. So even though these emotions, thoughts, beliefs, trauma, pains, whatever it is that's coming up that is associated with a timeline that you experienced in a past now moment, you don't want to turn and go and hang out in that old station, old meaning a past now moment that you've already lived. You've already been in that station. You want to stay present in the station that you're in right now, in the frequency and vibration that you're in right now, but allow that consciousness that was consumed when you were in that other station to just flush through. So you don't need to go back to that station. You don't need to turn and dive into that station, right? You just stay focused on what's coming up, recognize that it may be attached, most likely is attached to a previous station you were in, and it just needs to clear through you. I think this is happening for a lot of us right now, which is why they want me to share this with you guys. So it's okay that it's coming up. Just recognize it as a station in the past, which is also the now, but you're not there. You're here in a different vibration, but you're clearing that consciousness that you couldn't clear when you were there. Okay? So when you were in that station and you had those experiences, it was too much for you to clear at that moment. So you held on to it in the physical form. Now you're in a station where there's much more light. It's much higher frequency. You have access to much more. And we're in a portal now that's allowing us to consciously begin to release those densities that we consumed in another station. Okay? So it's separate from you. It's coming up. You're clearing it out, and you don't need to turn around and go and play in that station anymore. Okay? Hope that makes sense, and I hope it helps as we're clearing and purging right now. Because I know for me, there's a lot of like, I'll be laying in bed, like last night I was laying in bed, and I forgot what it was that was coming up, but I was having this dialogue about an experience that happened like 6 years ago. And I was in that dialogue, and I was having that dialogue, and I was feeling the emotion and the experience of that experiment or that experience, right? And I was saying to the Sirians, I was like, what is this? Why am I so deeply in this conversation with this person experiencing it again? They said, this is clearing. This is just you clearing. This is you getting conscious and clearing it out. So sometimes when we have those moments, it's just the clearing out process. We're just becoming clear. We're becoming aware of that density. It's coming up perhaps in a conversation that you're having again with with yourself, right? You're going back and forth with this conversation that was intense, that caused pain, that caused trauma, that caused guilt, that caused shame, whatever it caused, right? Between you and this person perhaps. And all of a sudden you're thinking about it at 3 a.m. And so all you want to do is recognize this is the Sirians working with you, clearing things out. So you can say, oh, okay, There's nothing you need to do other than just continue with that conversation, and then that conversation will be gone, and you'll either fall asleep or you'll find yourself having another memory or conversation from another station you were in a past now moment, right? So recognize it as a station, not as your now. It's not your now, right? It's a station that you experience yourself in, and you're basically collapsing it by allowing yourself to express it out and standing in this now moment only. So no longer energetically connecting or being pulled back, connecting or being pulled forward, which is also being okay with everything that's in the now moment and not trying to create your next now moment, right? You're always intending things, but you want to when you're intending things or manifesting things, you also want to surrender and be in this now. If you're always intending and manifesting for something better to come along or something else to come along or something to bring you more happiness or joy or love or peace, or there's something out there that's going to come in and then I'm going to feel this contentment or this peace or this joy. And again, it's the exact same thing as being in the past and going into those past stations. You're not present, and so you're not receiving the benefits of the now moment. So you know where you're going, you hold that in your awareness, you're intending it, but you're present in the now. This is what it means, you guys, to begin to start to live as multidimensional beings. When everybody says you want to live in the now, you want to live in a present moment state, this is it. This is starting to recognize where your thoughts go, where your energy goes on that train station. Okay. So I wanted to, there were some questions that came in this week. One question someone was asking about a lot of back pain. And I wanted to talk about back pain really quickly. So when you're clearing density out of the physical form, a lot of times it can feel, because it's moving through the channel, and the channel is energetically running along the spine. Okay. So when this energy is moving, this dense energy is like this, it's like this mucky muck almost, right? Of density moving through the spine, which is basically moving through the channel. You're going to feel it in your back. So you're going to have back pain. You're going to have tension in the shoulders, right? You're going to have lower back pain. You're going to feel stiff, right? Now, there's other physical reasons why this may be happening, but right now, if you're having back pain, I can guarantee you it's most likely because of the density that you're clearing. Okay, so if you're having that back pain, take baths, get in water, clear it out by your own awareness, just understanding what it is, asking the Sirians or any other being to come in and assist you in clearing that out. Go get massages. Go get massages by people that do energy work so they can move the energy through. Sometimes just a massage doesn't work. You want somebody that also understands energy and that is not only massaging your muscles and your back, but they're bringing the energy, they're moving that energy through. Okay. So that was one question that I had. And I had one more question I wanted to answer. Let me just pull it up. Hold on. So somebody wrote me that they're having heavy emotions, so heavy that she can't speak, seemingly coming from nowhere. They just keep coming every few days. Heavy feelings of despondency, self-loathing. Where are they coming from? What is the best thing to do in those moments to try and alleviate the weight of them? It feels like mentally being pinned under a 1,000-story concrete building. So to move through the ascension process, and one of the we have to do that is clear and purge, right? And now we're doing it consciously, which is great because when you do it consciously, it happens quicker. And then you start recognizing, holy cow, this actually works. This actually is happening. I'm actually shifting. However, when you start to become conscious of it, these kinds of things that this woman was talking about, we felt, which is massive amounts of what she said, heavy emotion, you can't control. It's almost like a pile of crap just got kind of unburied. And you're like, first of all, where did this come from? And second, what is it all? What do I even do with all of this? It's overwhelming, right? Somebody else said, there's so many things that I'm clearing. I have a list, right? Yes, this is you becoming conscious of the density in your physical form that is asking to be released. And it can be a lot because we have been so unconscious our entire life. And there has been a lot of third dimensional consciousness that we haven't wanted to experience through our emotional body and our mental body and our physical body. And so guess what? It's coming up now. And it can feel almost like, I don't know what to do, overwhelming, paralyzing. The first and foremost that I think is very important, you guys, if this is happening with you as well, is it's okay if you don't know where the emotion, thought, belief, trauma, pain is coming from. It's okay. It's not necessary for you to know where it's coming from in order to clear it. What's important is that you are pinpointing it. Got it. There it is. This is it. Maybe it's a massive amount of emotion, but I got it. When I say I got it, I'm feeling it. I got this. I'm feeling this, right? I don't know what it is. It feels like crap, right? But I've got it and I'm going to move it through. How do I move it through? I consciously feel it. In whatever now moment, I'm feeling it. However it wants to be expressed out of me, crying, screaming, sitting, eating, whatever it is, right? It's okay how you need to express it. Typically, you don't want to throw it onto humans as much as you can, right? You don't want to throw it, project it onto another human. But it's okay if you don't know what it is and it feels overwhelming. Remember, this is designed to be this way. This is you clearing it out. This is you recognizing and courageously saying, I am a being of light in a physical form. My body is holding a huge amount of light. My body is trying to anchor higher frequencies of light so that I can shift into the next dimensional field. And the only way for me to do that is to consciously be aware of the denser consciousnesses that I've experienced in those past timelines along that train station, all those stations that I was in. Consciously becoming aware of that, not judging it, not attaching to it, which I think a lot of us are starting to get comfortable with, right? And letting it move through by feeling it, letting it move through by allowing your human beingness to just have it, just express it, right? And you will start to learn how it works. You'll start to say, oh, I've done this before. I know what's going to happen once I let this bubbled up emotion move through me. Once I pinpoint it and I see it and I consciously say to it, I'm clearing you, I'm clearing you, I'm clearing you. You're feeling it. You're feeling it. You're feeling it. Maybe there's a station in the past, a timeline in the past that you remember where this is coming from, and maybe you don't. Either way, what's important is that you're pinpointing it, you're grabbing it, you got it, you're feeling it. It can bring you to your knees. It can make you nauseous. It can knock you out. It can make you cry. I can't tell you the amount of the emotions and the ways in which I have allowed myself to feel the density that comes up. Right? It can also be just by having conversation with that person in your mind's eye, right? You may all of a sudden be taken back to that moment when that trauma happened and you are having that conversation or having that experience all over again. It's clearing out of you and you're safe. You're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. Okay? You're safe. Okay. Another person asked a question, then I'm going to go to the questions here, but she said that what if you stray from your divine blueprint? You can't stray from your divine blueprint. It can feel like you're straying from your divine blueprint, but a divine blueprint is basically as a light being that you were, a consciousness, whatever you existed as in this 12th dimensional grid, right? So Earth is an experiment. She's a massive playground with multiple dimensions inside of her playground. okay? And there is a 12th dimensional grid system that holds this entire experiment playground in place. When you dropped into that 12th dimensional grid to begin to experiment and play with Earth's design, you were holding yourself in a consciousness. That consciousness chose to drop into human form, okay? When you chose to drop into human form, you chose a blueprint that you would be playing out, not the Akashic record, okay, but a blueprint, which would be the purpose, the intent, the reason for coming into form. And for many of you, you're way showers and light workers, right? And so you're doing work for humanity and the earth, whether you are believing yourself to be doing it or not. And so that holds that blueprint, that divine blueprint of dropping in and going to be of service to humanity, service to the earth. If you're listening to this video or any video about ascension, you're a light worker, you're a way shower, you have been and you are currently assisting, whether you believe yourself to be or not. So it's impossible to not be following that divine blueprint. It's an energetic vibration. It's a signature inside of you. It would be like saying you lost your name along your life. You can't lose you, that you can't lose, right? It's always there. It's just a matter of navigating this consciousness, this massively dense consciousness, while you hold that divine blueprint. It's not easy. Okay, let's go into questions. I'm just going to start with whatever I see. Okay, so Tiffany, how does this energy affect relationships and divine counterparts? Okay, so relationships and divine counterparts, one and the same and also very different. So relationships can be anything, right? It can be a relationship with your husband or your wife. It can be a relationship with your family or your friends. Be a relationship with a boyfriend or girlfriend. When we are, this energy that we are moving through right now massively impacts relationships. In fact, I want to do a YouTube on it because it plays a massively huge role in relationships, okay? Because most of the time, I'd say about 75% of those that are sort of awakening at the same time. So most of the people that are light workers and way showers are usually their own in their circle of friends and family and relationships. And so as you commit and get conscious of this process that you're going through of shifting into the next highest frequency and the next highest frequency, and then unraveling these new paradigms, these new ways of being that your relationships may not be following, it can create a lot of discourse. And a lot of times, if you're the individual that's moving forward and you've got friends and family and lovers and partners that are not quite there yet, there's this aspect of your humanness that wants to pull them along, bring them with you. And that's a really massive disservice because they're on their own journey, right? And as much as you want to bring them with you and show them this information and pull them, it's not your job, right? There's no right or wrong about any of this. There's no, just because you're not going through the ascension process doesn't mean that you're wrong and that you're missing the boat. They're just as correct and awesome and amazing beings of light as those that are going through the ascension process. There's no judgment around I'm on the ascension journey and you're not, so you're different and you're lower than me. You're in a lower vibration. You're not moving, you're not feeling this energy. There's something wrong with you. No. Recognize if you're thinking that. Recognize if you're feeling that, because that's duality. And as you shift into higher states of consciousness, you're going to start to get pulled out of duality. And when you start to get pulled out of duality, you're no longer judging. You're not judging any, or my partner is like, What are you talking about? I am nowhere in that vicinity, nor do I want to go there. I honor that. I love that. I appreciate that, right? What you want to be careful of is people in your life that are going to pull you back down. That's the challenge, my friend. That's the challenge. The challenge is, how do I keep going when I am surrounded by people that I love dearly, that when I am in their space and in their field, I am being pulled back down. It feels denser. It feels like I lose my vibration. It feels like I start going into these fields and spaces that I don't want to be in, right? I've experienced that. Trust me, I know that boundaries. As much as I loved my mother, my brother, my father, my divine counterpart twin flame, as much as I loved all of these humans in my life, I had to have firm boundaries. I cannot be in your space. I cannot hang out with you for longer than 3 days. I can't be with you for longer than 2 hours. Those are my boundaries with the people that are the closest to me. And they understand that and accept that now. They had to get used to that, right? So, because the other aspect is that human's going to get offended, upset. What are you talking about? What does this say about me? You think you're so much better than me, right? All these things are going to happen. But I can tell you from my own experience that as I continued to commit to keep going, I shifted the way I experienced and interacted with the closest people in my life. I didn't lose anybody that I didn't want to lose. I had to get real clear on my communication. I had to get real clear on my boundaries. I had to get real clear on what was the most important thing for my energetic field. And the more you can communicate it and share it openly and let that human have their experience about it, have their reaction, have their all of that, the easier it will be to keep going, because we have a fear of, I'm going to hurt this person, right? Or they're going to get upset with me. They're going to get angry. It's a really challenging piece, relationships. When you talk about divine counterparts, that's different. A divine counterpart is somebody that a divine counterpart is not a twin flame, okay? A divine counterpart, and these words are all human words. They're all in the 12th dimensional grid that we use to put on energetic experiences. But a divine counterpart is some human or non-human, higher dimensional being that comes into your field that will be vibrating at the same field, at the same speed as you in that now moment, and will walk the path with you for a certain amount of time. Maybe it's the rest of your lifetime, maybe it's not. But a counterpart, a divine counterpart, is somebody that's holding the same frequency as you, and they come together at the exact same time. And then you begin to walk the path. Whatever you guys end up doing together, it can be a romantic relationship, or it could be just a beautiful friendship, right? So a divine counterpart is going, when you're going through these energies right now, you're going to be calling in that divine counterpart. You're going to be calling in your twin flame if that is what you have designed yourself to experience in this lifetime. Okay. When you start shifting into higher states of consciousness, those things will and could be pulled in as you shift. However, relationships that you've been having along the train, right, and all those past stations, all those past timelines, all those relationships, they're still in your field as you are shifting into higher dimensional fields, higher frequencies. And so it can get very challenging navigating that, and honoring your path, honoring your journey, staying true to what you need, what you have to say, what serves you. It's not about being selfish. It's about honoring your resonance, honoring your energy. And as you start to awaken and shift more and more, you understand that it has nothing to do with putting your hands across over your arms and saying, this is what I need, and I'm going to do this, and you can't bring me down. And it's not like that. It's, this is my resonance, this is my energetic signature, this is what feels good, This is what doesn't feel good. And it has nothing to do with you. Mom, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with this energetic exchange I'm having. And at this now moment, I can only sit with you for a certain amount of hours, right? There are many people that would and have in my lifetime in the last couple of years told me that I am insensitive, that I only think about myself, that I'm hurting people. There's a lot of things that have been said to me. My brother's calling right now. That's funny. But I learned how to trust this process, trust this journey, trust it, and know that if there is a strong enough bond and a strong enough love, we will navigate this together. And that's what I've done with most of my family and the few friends that I have, and my divine partner, my twin flame who's on here, right? I have learned how to say what I need and hold the boundaries, and then cross my fingers and pray that those humans will come along with me. Okay. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Jenny, I have a tight gripping in my stomach. When I tune into it, it feels like a gripping fist and squeezes tighter. I've been trying to clear it for weeks, but it's still gripping no matter how much I feel. Okay. So, Jenny, it's interesting. I had something like this happen last night. So when it's in the stomach, so you're tapping into probably a mass, right? Almost like a massive density, and it's consciousness. It's most likely connected to some sort of trauma. And so what could be happening is, and get on, I wish I could put you on live. I don't know how to do that, like enter you in so I could talk live with you, but there's probably a way to do it. Figure it out. In my community I'm starting, we're going to do that. Okay, so this is a mass. This is most likely some sort of trauma. It doesn't matter if you know the trauma or not. What feels like may be happening is, hold on, let me go back. Okay, so Jenny, what feels like may be happening is that you're aware of it, but your ego and mind may have an unconscious fear of, what is it if I go in? You may not even know how to go in. So going in means feeling it, right? Like, what is it? What is this tightness? What is this gripping, squeezing feeling? One of the things I would invite you to do, especially during this portal, is either in a bathtub or when you're laying in bed, or wherever you're comfortable. Where are you most comfortable? Okay. Where do you just feel completely relaxed? Nobody around you. Okay. So do this when you are completely alone. Bring your awareness to that mass. Okay. That tight fisted gripping squeeze. And then what I invite you to do is breathe into that space, settle into that space and breathe into that space. And I invite you to open up the top of your head. So open up the 7th energy center. As you're doing this, just say, I'm opening up the 7th energy center. I invite you to invite in 2 different beings, okay? And it doesn't matter if you believe this is happening. It doesn't matter if you feel them, see them, or hear them. But I invite you to bring in the Sirians, and I invite you to bring in the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are going to hold you lovingly, while the Sirians direct you and tell you what's going on and break it up for you. It needs to be broken up so that you can start to decipher what it is. Because right now, all it is this massive consciousness that you're not quite sure how to feel it, because there's no emotion yet attached to it, just a mass. So invite the Sirians in and give them permission to break that mass up. Okay, you're just going to ask them to go ahead and break the mass up. And by breaking that mass up, it's going to start to give you emotions, and you're safe to feel that emotion. It's not you, and it's not happening to you. When you allow the Palladians to come in, whether you see them, feel them, hear them, it doesn't matter. They're going to surround you with love. They're going to hold you and love you. It's almost like it's almost like when you go through your first breakup and you're in your arms of one of your parents or grandparents, and they're holding you and you're just crying, right? You're just crying. The Palladians are like that. They're just going to hold you. So I would invite you to do that, and do it more than once. Do it as often as you need to, so that that mass of consciousness can break up. Because that's what you want to do. You want to break it up. Respond and let me know if that makes sense. I think that will help. Okay, Jenny, good. Just try it, because you're aware of that density, but you can't there's nothing to feel to move it through, right? So it's almost like, you're feeling this physical sensation of it. But here's what happens a lot of times with mass consciousnesses, densities. We'll feel the physical sensation of it first, like back pain or aching or a massive squeezing. And so we're bringing our awareness to it first because it's physically being given to us, which is a beautiful thing. Thank God it's being shown to us physically. And then you want to break it up so that you can tap into the emotions, thoughts, or beliefs that are stored in that mass. So you're just learning how to break it up. And then if another one comes up, you'll know what to do. You'll know how to open it, break it. Does that make sense? Do you think that reincarnation might be a punishment for a bad life? No, there's no punishment. So reincarnation is a choice. And reincarnation is every time that your light that you are, which is vibrating at a much higher frequency than your physical form, every time your light moves out of the physical form after the physical form has passed, you are in a much higher frequency, okay? You do not exist in a third dimensional consciousness. So you do not exist in the rules and the ways in which the third dimensional consciousness runs. There is no such thing as being forced back down to live out another lifetime because you did something bad in a past lifetime. That doesn't exist. That paradigm doesn't exist in a higher dimensional consciousness. It makes no sense. Karma, like, oh, I did something bad this lifetime, so I'm going to have to come into another lifetime and clear it. That's a paradigm that was created in a third dimensional consciousness. Whether you believe that or not, it is a third dimensional consciousness based in fear. Any fear-based paradigm exists in a third dimensional reality. When you start stepping out of a third dimensional reality, any paradigm that is based in fear doesn't exist. Karma is a paradigm based in fear. Oh, if you better not do that, because if you do, you're going to have to come back and do this, this, this. So it tries to control the human. That's what karma does. It controls the human, right? I better not do bad things because then something bad's going to happen to me. So when you separate out of the third dimensional consciousness and move back into much higher frequency, you decide, do I want to come back or not? Every single time. Every single time. It is an absolute choice. You are a free-willed being. Nothing is pulling you back into the human form. Nothing. Ears ringing bunny is frequencies around you, energy, consciousness around you. So it's you tuning in, fine-tuning, not only the energy inside your form, but the energies around you. We have so much energy around us, not just inside of us. And so when the ears ring, it's like the tuning fork, right? The ding. Your energy inside of you is increasing. The energy outside of you is being felt now. And there's this retuning that's happening. A lot of times it could be that there are high frequency beings around you and you're starting to tap into it. Okay, so let's see. The ringing is nonstop. That's great. Nothing wrong with that. You're tuning. You're feeling a lot of energy. Frequency. It's frequency. It's frequency. Are some people, Alexa, are some people choosing to leave this incarnation to avoid ascension? Well, I don't know if they're doing it to avoid ascension, as if ascension is something to avoid. So there are a lot of people. That's a complicated question. So there are beings, consciousnesses, light beings, consciousnesses like you and I, right? Every human has a light consciousness in it, a light being in it. The human form is just a physical form. It's just physicality. It's just form. It's just density. It's holding all the light. It's holding the higher self. It's holding the channel. It's holding the light being, right? There are millions of light beings that have dropped into the physical form that are walking around right now that have no intention of ascending in this now lifetime. It's not their intention. Talking about blueprint, they didn't have the blueprint of I'm going to participate actively in the ascension journey in this lifetime. Okay, so they're just not going to, and that's totally okay. They have that free will. They may, once they exit the physical form, when they are in that higher consciousness, they may turn around and say, you know what? That fifth dimensional field, Earth is now in that fifth dimensional field. The humans are now walking into that field. That I'm going to jump in and play with that for a second. What does that look like? Right? I'm going to jump into that fifth dimensional field and play in that. So it's choice, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. But there are beings of light that are dropping in. Unfortunately or fortunately, there's really no judgment around it, even though it's hard to not have judgment around this. There are, and a lot of these are beings that have been on the planet for the first time. So this is their first incarnation down, and they're holding much more light. Their light quotient is much higher than other light beings that are in the form. And they're having a very hard time being in this reality, being in this density, being in this body, being in this consciousness, and they are exiting out. Now, they're not exiting out because they don't want to participate in the ascension. They're exiting out because it's too much, right? It's not what they thought it was going to be, so to speak, even though it's not really what they're thinking in terms of the frequency they exist in inside the physical form. But it's too much for them, and so they exit, they leave, right? A lot of starseeds, a lot of very young starseeds, unfortunately, are exiting out because it's too much, because the light that they're bringing in to serve Earth and humanity, it is a lot of light, you guys, and it requires a huge adjustment into the physical form. And there are massive amounts of psychosis, schizophrenia, bipolar, lots of mental labeling on these light beings and star seeds that are holding much higher frequencies that can't adjust to the physical form. And it's playing out the way it's playing out because there's free will. And so it's not like their guides and their family of light can come down and make it better. You know, once we drop in, it's like off we go to the races, and our guides and family of light are just kind of crossing their fingers like, please God, please God, please God. So that is happening, but it will slow down because more and more humans like yourself and myself are starting to teach and share and provide information and assist these beautiful, courageous beings of light that are dropping in right now and that have been dropping in for the last 30 years, 40 years, right? Hope that makes sense. Sarah, I've been blessed to be able to work through psychosis and OCD through my awakening in the last 6 months. Kundalini. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of spiritual teachers and there's a lot of star seeds that are going to start showing up and teaching us how to move into these higher dimensional fields that have been labeled bipolar, psychotic, all kinds of stuff. And then you're looking at them and you're like, oh my God, you're so connected. Um, so we're learning, and the more of us that start to walk into our blueprint, walk into the work we've designed ourselves to do courageously, so that you can turn around and pull those beings of light in physical form up so they can do what they came onto the earth plane to do, right? We're all helping each other get to that next level to turn around and help that person get these groups get to the next level, right? So fear isn't a construct, fear is a consciousness. It's almost like something you can just tap into. So just like love is a consciousness. It's a program, it's a paradigm as well. It creates a lot of programs. It creates paradigms. It can create constructs. But fear is a consciousness. It's an energetic vibrational space that you can tap into. When you start moving into higher dimensional fields, fear doesn't exist in that field. It's too low of a vibration. So fear spins energetically, and when you tap into that energy, you feel fear, right? When you are in a fifth dimensional field, anchored in, okay, not tapping into, but when you have physically anchored into a fifth dimensional field, then you won't have access to lower dimensional consciousnesses like fear, like rage, like anger, um, disease. Those are consciousnesses that spin slower. And when they spin slower, they exist in a slower dimensional field, like a third dimension. And so there's thousands and thousands and thousands of paradigms, programs that are built around these consciousnesses that are all around us. And if you look at it from that lens, there's no judgment around it, right? It's like, oh, I just bumped into a fear-based paradigm. Oh, I just bumped into the consciousness of fear, you know? Wow, look at that. I'm just feeling fear now. Pretty sure I'm going to choose something else, perhaps, or maybe I'm going to play in that, right? The more, like I said in the very beginning, the more aware, the more you start shifting to higher frequencies, the more you become aware, and the more you choose. You start choosing more and more. You have more power to choose. You're not just numbly and unconsciously moving about your world. I've been seeing spots of rainbow in the sky with no sign of an actual rainbow, Brian. Yeah, so there's a lot of those are high frequency, you could call them light codes or just light. And the reason they're showing up in that spectrum is because when light, really high frequency light comes in, sometimes it will, depending upon the frequency that it's spinning at, it will pick up a color, which is just a vibration, right? And usually what you'll start noticing is that it's not a rainbow. It's like straight up and down, or an upside down rainbow, or like diagonal, right? It has rainbow, which a rainbow has to do with the light reflecting on the water or the clouds, or I don't know how scientifically, I don't know how the rainbow creates itself, but these are not rainbows. These are high frequency light particles coming in. And as they enter the dense consciousness into this field, and they're spinning, they kind of connect into a color that our eyes can see that holds that vibration. I'm seeing energy ripples in the sky, and I can only see them at night. Looks like when you throw a rock into the water, white energy ripples. Yeah, so Sarah, so this is you guys becoming multidimensional. So you're starting to see higher dimensional energies. You're starting to see energy that exists outside of a third dimensional field, outside of a third dimensional consciousness. And there's an infinite amount of energies around us in many different dimensions. And so depending upon what you're anchored in, so Sarah, you're anchoring into a little bit higher frequency. And so you're starting to see these things, right? And this isn't to say that if you're not seeing these things, you're not anchoring into higher frequencies. This is all unique. Each individual, unique human form is going to experience things differently as they shift into higher frequencies. Sarah just happens to be able to start to see these kind of rippling dimensional field energies moving, right? And Brian is starting to see these color light particles in the sky, right? We're all going to start to see these things differently. Some people are going to see spacecraft. Some people are going to start to see things moving in their room. Some people are going to start to see kind of like, you can start to see like white bubble, like white things moving around your space, kinds of stuff. It's your anchor. That when you start doing that, that means that your body is actually anchoring into a higher frequency. You're experiencing through the physicality, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, ringing, right? You're experiencing in your physicality these higher dimensional energies, which means that you've anchored in. Very different than tapping into higher dimensional fields. If you know what I mean. Please help. All right, Lisa, hold on a second. Let me go back. Please help. I know my degenerative disc nerve pain is just stuck energy that's been there many years from trauma, but how do I release it? You just spoke that we don't need to know what the trauma is. No. If the trauma isn't coming up, it's not necessary to know where that pain, where that density is coming from in order to clear it. But you want to break that energy up. So you have degenerative disc nerve pain. Okay, it's from trauma. Okay, so how do you release it? Okay, Lisa. This is a choice that you're going to start to make from today until the Lionsgate portal closes. And you can continue doing this for as long as you want. What they want you to do, and you may have already be doing this, they want to work with you. When I say they, it's the Sirians. They want to work with you in water, first of all. Get her in water, floating almost. So if you can go to like a float tank, that would be freaking phenomenal. But in the bathtub, in a lake, calm water, not a river that's flowing. Floating. So bathtub, you're kind of not really floating, but it's okay. They're saying she needs to be okay. So you need to be okay with, it's not about the ego and the mind figuring anything out. Okay. You're in and out. See, there's an aspect of you that may be trying to figure it out consciously through your mind, or your ego's trying to, what is this trauma? What is this pain? What is this? What is this? What is this? They want you to not do that. They want you to just settle in as if you're laying with that back pain. You're laying with that disc. You're laying with those nerves. You're laying there with it and surrendering to it, softening to it. So eyes are closed. You're laying there. And you can do this in the bed as well, but they are asking for you to go into water. And bring your awareness to that disc. Bring your awareness to the spine, bring your awareness to the pain. And then you do the same thing they're saying that we said to the other lady earlier. See, you don't need to worry about the trauma. You don't need to worry about what it is, where it is, how to get it out of you, don't worry about that. Because as you're worrying about that, it's like there's a clenching, right? And there's a tightness of it. And it's like you just want this out so badly. Get it out, get it out. And that is creating a tightness so that it's even getting more tight, they're saying. You've got to literally surrender and float and not worry about figuring it out. And it's in the not worrying about figuring it out, they're saying, that they will assist you in floating it out of you, they're saying, kind of letting it move out of you. So water, bathtub, a lake, a float tank, And then you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to close your eyes and bring your awareness to that pain. You're going to open up your seventh energy center. You're going to open up your crown. You're going to say, my crown chakra is open. I'm calling in the Sirians and calling whoever else you want, an angelic being, your higher self, any guides you want. Call in all of them. Call in an army of beings. It doesn't matter. But you're calling in the Sirians, okay? And you're going to direct them to, you're going to bring your awareness to that disc, to the nerves, to the pain. And you're going to direct the Sirians to start to clear it out with you. Start to clear this out. And if you want to say, what is it? Because I can hear that you're going to say, well, what is it? What is it? So you can ask, what is this? What is this? Right? And you have to allow yourself to drop into that emotion that's going to come up. They're saying the first thing that pops into your head, the first image that you have, okay, the first person that pops in, sit with it. Sit with it for a moment. Sometimes these really traumatic traumas are laid over by so much density that it takes a while for us to surrender into it and to really finally breathe and let that emotion go. They're saying she can also do this if she went to an energy worker that dealt with energy, but not a lot of work on the back. So you don't want to massage or have movement in the back. They said they want to help. They want to help. They want to help. They want to help you. This isn't something that's stuck. This is, meaning it's not this is something that can clear. This is something that can move out of you. Okay. So start to do, if this resonates, try it. It doesn't necessarily happen on the first try. Be aware of your thoughts and your beliefs around it, Lisa. Oh, this isn't going to work, or oh, this didn't work, oh, nothing happened, right? It's not about what the trauma is. It's about allowing yourself to experience what comes up when they start to clear it out. And don't beat yourself up. They're tell you not to beat yourself up, okay? So I don't know if you beat yourself up a lot, but don't do that when you are moving into these massive masses, okay? Because you didn't do anything wrong. You never, ever, 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 none of you did anything wrong. You lived the train stations the way it was designed to be lived by you. And now you are courageously clearing that. It's challenging. Hope that helps, Lisa. Let me know how it goes if you do it. Question. What's the best means of meditation? And then I'll go to Liz. Thank you for answering. Do I just say, heal me? I feel this is too much sometimes. Okay, I'm going to go back to Lisa for a second. No, you don't say heal me, Lisa. Okay, that fear or that belief of it's too much sometimes, totally human and normal. But if you're consciously ready to clear it, you guys can start working together. You don't say heal me. You want to direct the Sirians to bring the light into you. So you just say, actually, you should get the journey I just did. You should really get the journey. I don't know if you got the journey I just did, but it's on replay. You can buy it. I think it's $33. It's a journey with the Sirians, and they literally bring the light in. But what you want to do is you want to ask the Sirians to bring that high frequency light. They're going to know what to do, but you're going to ask them to just bring the light in and move that dense consciousness through your spine. If you want to say heal your spine, say heal your spine. Say whatever you want. Just have your awareness on that disc, on those nerves, on that area. Have your awareness there. Have all your human emotions around it, your anger and your frustration and your rage. Give it all up. Let it be very honest and real in those moments when you're calling them in. but direct them to that spot and say, this is what I'm healing. This is what I'm clearing. This is what I'm purging. This is what I'm moving through me. This is what I'm moving through me. This is what's moving through me. So that my discs can be aligned, so that my channel can be clear, so that there's no more degenerative pain. Like, I'm not going to make it with this body. Yeah. So get aware, Lisa, of those thoughts, because that's a huge piece. That's why they said they need you to surrender and let go, because you're controlling it. And when you control it, there's nothing they can do. So one of the things we have to understand, you guys, is that no matter how, where'd your thing go? There you are. No matter how much we want to work with these beings and ourselves, right? And just working with ourselves, no matter how much we really want something, if our beliefs are blocking that and getting in the way, it's going to take some time. So you want to start to pay attention and get real conscious of the beliefs and thoughts that you have around it. Because then you can start to surrender those thoughts and beliefs. What do you actually want, Lisa? What do you want? What do you want? Well, you're going to say, I want that pain to be gone, right? But then there's an aspect of you that's going to come up and say, yeah, but I feel like I'm not going to be able to make it with this body. This body's not going to be able to do it. Okay, great. It's coming up again. But what do I want? I want this energy cleared out of me. Okay, I believe that today, in this moment, 6 months, 6 hours from now, I may not believe that, right? But right now I believe it. And maybe tonight I'll practice sitting with the Sirians and asking them to come in. Do it in your bed. Do it before you're going to bed. Do it whenever. Don't wait for the bath. Don't wait for the float tank. Do it whenever. Start doing this with them right now. Invite them in. Open up your seventh energy center, okay? And tell them to just bring the light in. This is what they're here to do with us right now, you guys. Massively. Seriously. This is not just like a spiritual woo-woo foo-foo thing. This is actually what's happening. And we have the conscious choice to be able to do this right now, regardless of what frequency you're at, regardless of your socioeconomic status, regardless how long you've been along on the path, regardless of anything. It doesn't matter. You're a being of light in physical form, and you're here to move into the next highest frequency. And these beings are beyond excited to begin to do this. So Lisa, you asked them to come in and do this right now. It's perfect timing. Perfect time that you're on this YouTube. Perfect time that you ask this question. Perfect time for you to start to clear it with them consciously, co-creatively. Okay. Hopefully that worked. Okay. So what was the other question? Sorry, I got distracted. Let me go back up for a second. Why so much isolation for light workers, and how to try or when to integrate? Liz Rodriguez. So one of the reasons why there is a feeling of isolation is because we are on the forefront of doing this. So you've got a Earth plane, and you've got how many billions? 8 billion people on the Earth plane, right? And I don't know, you guys, how many people are actively participating in the ascension? A couple million, maybe a couple million, handful of millions, not a lot. Small percentage are actually actively. Now we are in this community, so we think there's a ton of people doing it, but on the collective, tiny. We're the way showers. You're a way shower. You're here to practice and step into these higher dimensional fields first. You're taking the collective into the fifth dimensional field that the earth is already holding for us. We're the pioneers. And so when you look around, most people are like, not there yet. No idea what you're talking about. I think you're nuts. I think you're crazy. Blah, blah, right? It's designed to be that way. This is just the design of it. Somebody has to go. There has to be a group that goes first. It doesn't all happen in one big swoosh. Millions of years for the earth to be pulled down into a lower vibrational field. It's going to take a lot of time for the third dimensional collective to shift into a fifth dimensional field, earth plane. It's going to take a long time. So it takes beings going there first and pulling other beings who then pull other beings who then pull other beings. So Liz, it feels isolating because it is, because there's not a huge amount of people in the collective that are actively doing this. How to try or when to integrate. I don't know what you mean when you say that, but I'm not sure what you mean. What's the best means of meditation, Trish? What's the best means of meditation to see, talk directly to, and hear my higher self, spirit guides, archangels, etc.? So it's different for everyone. Some people walk and they meditate when they walk. Some people meditate when they are sitting. Some people meditate when they're driving. Some people meditate when they're doing active exercises. What you want to do is you want to be conscious about what you're doing. So let's say that you're going to go for a walk, right? And in this walk, you are choosing to open up your crown, right? So you're opening up the seventh energy center to activate and open that channel so the energy can move through, right? And so you can activate that channel that hears the higher self, activate that channel that hears the I am presence, activate that channel that starts to hear all of the archangels and all of the beings of light. The higher a dimensional energy is, the harder it is to hear. So you're going to hear your higher self first, which sounds like your own voice. You're going to hear spirits, people, beings that have, humans that have passed. Those are in a lower vibrational field. You're going to hear archangels. You may hear some higher dimensional light beings. But as you start connecting to higher dimensional fields, it can get a little bit more challenging. So you want to set the intention of what you're doing. You want to let go of control and surrender to nothing. You're surrendering to anything and everything and letting it just be. Many times when you start to hear, it can sound like your own voice. It's being filtered and funneled through your channel, which is inside of your physicality. So it's going to sound like you a lot of times, right? And it's a practice. It's a practice of learning what it feels like when you connect to your higher self. What does your higher self sound like? It sounds very different than your ego. But it is a voice that is similar to the ego. The ego is a voice that you hear in your head. The higher self is a voice that you hear in your head. The higher self has no opinion. It has no judgment. It doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't say that's right and that's wrong, that's good and that's bad. It doesn't say you can't do that because you don't have the ability, you don't have the money, you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough. The higher self is neutral. The higher self is an aspect of you in a higher dimensional field that knows who you are and knows where you're going. It's like your best friend, right? Your best friend that is unconditionally loving you. Your best friend that has no judgment about you. Your best friend that wants the best for you. That doesn't judge anything that you're doing. That's your higher self. Your ego is the teacher. Your ego is the really harsh parent that's trying to keep you on track and not make sure that you don't do anything that is out of their control, right? The ego has to control. The ego needs to be in control. The ego feels very unsafe when it's not in control. The higher self is like, girl, let's go. I got you. We're going to do this. Just follow me. Trust me. Let's go. So you want to open to what that's going to sound like. When you focus too much on, I'm here to listen, I'm here to listen, I'm here to listen. Okay, I'll get to that question. I'm here to listen, I'm here to listen, I'm here to listen, I'm here to listen. Then you're focusing too much, right? So you want to have a soft focus. You want to just sort of let it be. So you're setting the intention, you're opening up your crown, and you're asking whoever it is that you want to come in to connect with you. Higher self is already inside of you, so that's an easy one. Okay. My son is 13, Wendy. He sees ghosts and he's seeing them more often. Are ghosts fourth dimensional beings? He gets scared. I don't know how to help him. Okay, great question. I love it. So a ghost is a spirit. So it is a spirit is a light being that was in a human form that passed and is not out of this third dimensional matrix yet. So it's in a fourth dimensional field. And when the spirit hasn't completely exited out of the grid, the fifth dimensional grid on the earth plane, it's held in a fourth dimensional field. So we can still, you can see fourth dimensional beings. And so ghosts are fourth dimensional spirits that were, most of them were at one time human. And the reason that it can be, so yes, they're fourth dimension, they're not fourth dimensional beings. They are existing in a fourth dimensional frequency until they exit out. Just like you're not a fourth dimensional being, right? You're a much higher dimensional being in a third dimensional form. Ghosts or spirits are higher dimensional beings that were in a human form, that exited that human form through some sort of passing, and are now held in a fourth dimensional field until they exit out of that field. He's getting scared because he doesn't understand. First of all, he may not be inviting them in. So they may be, he has access to them. When children are young and they have access to higher dimensional fields, they are going to see a lot of energies around them, and it's going to scare them because they don't know what it is. And most of the time, these beings of light are not showing up to scare the child. They are showing up to communicate with the child for whatever reason. And so one of the things you can do, Wendy, is you can start to talk to your child as if you have these experiences, or you understand these experiences, or you want to make it very normal. The more you can normalize it, the more the child can start to talk about it, the more the child can start to embrace it, talk to you about it. It's really important to make it normal, normalize it. What does he see? What does he feel? When do they come in? What does it feel like? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Are they talking to him? I have a nephew who, when he was 5 years old, and he still does, but he would see spirits at night. And I would be laying in bed next to him, and it would scare the crap out of me, because if he was seeing spirits, I knew spirits were in the room. I couldn't see them, and that freaked me out, right? And it just felt freaky to me, because I want to have control. The human likes to have control. And so I would ask him, he would get very quiet and nervous, because as a young child, they don't know if this is right or wrong. They don't know if it's good or bad. Is this bad? Is there something wrong with me? Am I weird? Right? So you want to make them feel okay. Like, it's okay that you're seeing that. That's an actual energetic being that's coming into the space. What does it feel like to you? Does it scare you? And he said, no, it doesn't scare me at all, right? Freaked me out. Didn't scare him at all. And I didn't let him know I was freaked, right? Because then he would think that he needed to be afraid. So you want to open the dialogue. You want to talk about it. You want to, like, oh, I know other people that see these beings, You also want to give him power. So he's a free-willed being. He can shut these beings out. So if he doesn't want these beings to be in his space, then he can ask when they come in, he can ask for them to leave his field. I know there's a lot of mediums that are in this chat box right now, and they can tell you what they do to kind of shut down that sort of open access. So you want to teach that to him, that when a being comes in, when a ghost comes in, he can close it off. He can say, I don't want you in my field right now. I don't want you in my space. So hopefully that helped. Let's see what else is going on. Okay, I'm going to do, what time is it? Oh, 1:30 almost. Okay, let's do one more question. Alexandra, I've asked the Sirian masters to work with me on this. Is there something specific that I need to do? No, just pinpoint what you want them to assist you in clearing out, and they'll come in and assist. You're activating, you're assimilating, and you're anchoring the light. Okay, activating, assimilating, anchoring. If you didn't see the journey with the Sirians, it's really powerful, you guys. You can get the replay on my website, or I'll put the link down below. You can get it in another video on YouTube. It's $33. I think we were on for like an hour and a half, but it's a really powerful meditation with the Sirians, and it shows you how to work with them right now. And I know from a lot of people that were there live and on the replay, they can still feel the Sirians around them right now. I mean, the Sirians are like, they knew I was doing this live, and I was sitting in this mineral spring, and they're like, oh my God, okay, we want you to do this. We're going to bring in the light. We're going to flood the light into them. Tell them when you first come on that we're going to flood the light into them. And the Sirians, when you work with them, they are very serious. They're very much like, I'm going to do this. This is what we're going to do. Let's get to work. So when they have access to us, it's like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And so that's the energy that we're in right now. We literally are learning how to co-create with these beings, you guys. You're learning how to co-create with these beings. This is it. This is go time. This is how you do it. Go listen to that journey. You'll learn how to co-create with them. What I say during that journey is what you say to them. And then they come in because you're free-willed. You have free will. You have free will. So no light being's going to come into your space and do anything without you inviting them in and telling them what to do. Okay. Okay. All right. Carlin, what do you think about the thought that humans are born bad? No. No, 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 no. No human is born bad. There's no such thing. Bad is a is a bad is a way of labeling a way of being that just is. A lot of these children, I just watched a documentary on this. Who wrote that question? Hold on. Carlin. I just watched Carlin. It's interesting. I just watched the documentary, you guys, on children, the amount of children that are dealing with psychosis and psychotic behaviors and anger and rage that they can't control. And my heart broke. One of the things that was coming in as I was watching that, as because I ask a lot of times, like, what is this? So a lot of times there's a kind of a variety, a spectrum of light beings that jump into those kinds of experiences. Sometimes it's just to experience that intensity. It's to experience that, believe it or not, as challenging as that is. The human labels it bad. Oh, like they chose to come in and be a bad person. That's not, no, they came in to experience. It's all consciousness. It's not bad or good, right or wrong. It's just consciousness. So that light being dropped into human form to experience that consciousness, which the human labels a bad person, which isn't bad. Now, the other thing that's happening is that these children are coming in with much more light quotient, okay? So they are holding more light in physical form, and it is creating chaos in their physicality. And these beings are high frequency light beings dropping into a very dense physical form for the purpose of shifting into these higher dimensional fields we're walking into. The physical form is capable of holding more light quotient than it was 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So these beings of light that are dropping into human form that we're seeing now as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds that have this rage, this violence, this anger, this psychosis, it's very possible that some of them are beings of light that are holding a much higher light quotient, and their physicality is not capable of anchoring it yet. It's having a challenging time. And so they're expressing this energy out in ways that are not productive, right? And there's the medical community is having a hard time treating them because there's nothing wrong with them. There's no medicine, there's no treatment. There's no diagnosis because it's a light being that's holding a much higher light quotient than the physical form is the physical form can anchor it and hold it. But what happens is that the light inside of that form is having a hard time navigating it, settling in now. So there's a couple of different reasons or options in terms of the light being dropping in and having that experience. There's no such thing as a bad person or dropping in to have a bad human experience. From a much higher perspective, there's no such thing. From a much higher perspective, the light being that's higher in perspective, higher in consciousness, is saying, this is what I want to experience. So they're choosing this. And then there are the beings that are coming in with much higher light quotient to serve humanity and Earth as they shift into that fifth dimensional field. And they're having a very difficult time anchoring it. Okay. Oh. Ghosts and spirits are not demons. Let's see. What else do we have? I'll do a couple more questions. My career as an artist is at a standstill. Is there any info I can get on that? Is it still included in the path I've taken, perhaps in a different capacity? It's put me on hold so far. Janessa. So I think what you're talking about, a lot of people are experiencing, which is that what you've been doing for a very long time is no longer productive. It's almost like it's just stopped in its tracks. And you're sitting there like, okay, now what? And nothing's coming, right? You're in this like void, this space of like, okay, what I've been doing isn't creating the abundance and the money. Nothing's showing up. So this is the pivot that the light beings or our guides like to talk about. And the pivot is this moment of shifting. And so a lot of times what you're doing now or what you were doing prepared you and may have may be part of what you're going to be stepping into. But here's where it becomes co-creative, right? So this energy that we're moving into right now is all about co-creation and learning how to co-create, which is basically learning how to manifest, which is basically learning how to intend with energy and create your now moment. So what you want to start to do, Vanessa, is you want to start to create what it is that you want in the now moment. And you want to get clear on this. You want to get specific, as specific as you can. Because if you just say, well, I want to do my purpose work. Well, that okay, but you need to get clear on what that means for you. You need to get clear on, in this now moment, what do I want to do? Throw out the window my purpose work. Throw out the window my divine blueprint. No matter what, your higher self is moving you in that direction. You're the train on the train tracks. You're moving, okay? You may be at a standstill in a station for a while, but you're going to get on the train. The train's going to move. You're going. So before you jump back on that train to get to that next station, what are you moving into? What's the next station you want to move to? So when you co-create with your higher self, when you co-create with your guides and your family of light, you are working with them in tandem and walking into that next station, walking into what is next. And if you don't know what is next, you stay in this present now moment and you say, okay, what is it that I'm feeling? What am I resonating with? What am I feeling called to do? Am I feeling called to read? Am I feeling called to write something? Am I feeling called to go to a seminar? Am I feeling called to watch a YouTube video? What am I feeling called to do in the now moment? You're not trying to solve anything. You're not trying to figure out the big picture. You're not trying to unravel the giant mystery purpose work. You're just staying present with the intention of, okay, I am co-creating with my higher self. I know that I'm here to do whatever it is that's going to be coming next. It may have to do with my art. It may not. But you've got to start playing. You've got to start picking up that Play-Doh and playing, which means speaking to your higher self, speaking to your guides. You're a co-creator. You're a creator being moving into a higher frequency, and you have the ability to start to co-create your now moments. This is a massive time for us right now of co-creation, learning how to do this. So the ego is going to say, I'm not that way. Nobody's going to believe me. I don't have the skills. I don't know how to. The ego is going to get real loud when you start co-creating with the higher self. Just part of it. Just going to happen. You just have to let it be. Okay. Higher self's going to get loud. Get very clear on the higher self screaming. Okay. Because when you start walking hand in hand with higher self, the ego starts to get really uncomfortable. Why are you doing this? You don't know what you're doing. How can you trust this? You don't even know what this means. You have no idea where you're going, and you have to just keep going. So in co-creating with your higher self, you have to start to intend for something to move into your field or for you to bring it out from within you. What do you feel like doing in the now moment? What is calling to you? Sit in meditation, sit in a bath, sit in your car, start to ask, I'm ready, higher self. I'm ready to step into the next version of me so that I can be of service to humanity. I am ready, family of light, guides, team, to step into the next highest version of me so that I can serve on a bigger level. I'm ready. Let's go. Show me the signs. Show me what I need to know. I'm surrendering, I'm softening, I'm letting it be. Time is a tricky thing in the third dimension because we are moving at a very slow linear pace. It's already done when we intend it. We just have to catch up to it, right? So you have to let the very frustrating linear time just be, which means that it could take some time, right? Which means that it can feel like you're not doing anything. Hopefully that helped. Blissful Heart Mom. It's on my website and it's on my YouTube. I think you're asking about the replay. It's on the front page of my website. It'll say Journey with the Sirians. And it's also going to be down below in this YouTube, and it's in the last couple of YouTubes. You'll find the link inside the description of the YouTube. Oh, good. Great, Janice. I'm grateful. All right. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Is there anything else? One last question for the collective. Who's going to ask it? One last question. Make it a good one. There's no such thing as good. Good one. One more. Who's going to ask it? What do I ask the star beings? Sherry, you can ask the star beings anything you want. What does 5D look like? Jacqueline, there you go. Okay. We'll stay there. Sherry, you can ask the star beings anything you want, clearing, healing, moving into a different space, a different reality, a different relationship, a different anything. You can ask them everything and anything. So what does the 5D look like? So what we're experiencing right now is tapping into the 5D consciousness, right? So you can imagine that there's a consciousness bubble right here of 5D, almost like those rainbow lights, right? So it's a consciousness, it's a field. And we're starting to tap into it as we start to raise our vibration. We're tapping into that consciousness. So first it becomes, what does 5D, what does the fifth dimensional field feel like when you tap into it, right? And so when you are experiencing the fifth dimensional consciousness, you're in a present moment state. So all of a sudden time just sort of stops. You are in a flow state. So you're listening to, you're trusting that everything that you're experiencing in every now moment is for your divine good. You are in communion with higher self and I am presence. You are able to, this is just the reality of tapping into 5D consciousness. You're able to manifest instantaneously almost. So you know, you may wait a couple hours, a day or two, maybe, just based on like the linear time of third dimension, but you can manifest quite quickly. There's no ego that comes into that, right? So there's no fear or doubt, and typically your intention and manifestation is the knowingness that you're actually just tapping into a timeline in that next station over. So it's already there, right? And it's not based on an egoic sort of desire. Fifth dimensional consciousness is understanding what it means to feel unity consciousness, which is that we are all the same. We are all one. We all came from source. We all may be experiencing ourselves in different dimensional fields, but we're all the same spark. And when you can tap into that unity consciousness, you can look at any human being doing anything on the earth plane and you can love them. Very difficult. In a fifth dimensional consciousness, you are recognizing the matrix that you're in. You're recognizing the field that you're in. You're recognizing yourself as a multidimensional energetic being. So you're seeing yourself from a bigger perspective. Fifth dimensional consciousness is every being is a being, right? So everything is alive. Everything exists as a consciousness. So there's no destroying of any being. You don't kill anything. You don't harm anything. It doesn't make any sense. Fifth dimensional consciousness is where you are experiencing and expressing your energetic field from from that fourth energy center. So your entire channel is aligned and connect. So all 7 energy centers in the body and all 5 energy centers above the body are aligned, and the energy is moving through, and it radiates out from that fourth energy center like a little like boom, boom, like that, right? It's like the center of the universe. Light just goes out. And so it's inevitable. You just love everything. Like you've taken 15 hits of ecstasy and you're just in love with everything. So you're in that space a lot. You're in that space. You radiate out from that space, which requires you to unconditionally love yourself. So when you are in a fifth dimensional consciousness, you are loving every aspect of you. Every aspect of you. You cannot begin to radiate love out and love others if you can't love yourself. Then you're bypassing the most challenging piece, which is to love yourself. So when you drop into a fifth dimensional consciousness, you're completely aligned. You have awareness of higher self, I am presence, all the beings around you. You're in a constant flow state. So all of these attributes are what we are tapping into and learning how to be in. Baby steps. We're learning. We're learning how to be present. We're learning how to hear higher self. We're learning how to hear I am presence. We're learning how to open up our hearts. We're learning how to love ourselves. We're learning how to feel everything in the now moment. Clearing and purging is basically just feeling everything through us, so that when you step into the next now moment, you feel it all, so it clears through you. You're learning how to be in non-duality, right? So in a fifth dimensional field and tapping into a fifth dimensional consciousness, there is no duality. There is no such thing as right and wrong. There's no such thing as fear. There's no disease. There's no illness. There's no bad. There's no greed. There's no rage. There's no anger. So you imagine that your form is in a third dimensional field right now, right? Still able to access those consciousnesses, and yet you're tapping into that fifth dimensional consciousness, right? So it's challenging because you're still having to be a very third dimensional physicality, experiencing these, and you're having to watch all these humans be third dimensional consciousness while you are tapping into where you know you and the collective will eventually move. So it's challenging. There we go. Okay. I think we're going to stop. There's a lot more to the fifth dimensional consciousness. I mean, there's a lot of consciousness to be experienced in that consciousness. But that's a list of like what we are currently tapping into and learning how to do, right? So that's why you want to be really gentle on yourselves, you guys, because it's not easy doing this. It's not easy tapping into and trying to be and hold higher consciousnesses when your physicality isn't there yet. Because I did this in another video, and it's extremely important to really understand, because anchoring into a fifth dimension is very different than tapping in. And the only way you can anchor in is when your physicality is much lighter. So you can see through your hands, you're holding much more light. We've got a long way to go to anchor in, but we can tap into it. So a lot of people will say the new earth, right? What's the new earth? What the new earth is now we're experiencing the new earth. What they're talking about is that consciousness field, because earth is already holding a fifth dimensional field. She's already anchored into that space. Now we're coming along to be a part of it, but we have to anchor along the way these higher dimensional fields. We have to anchor in the higher frequencies in our form so that we can then stand in that very high dimensional field that's the fifth dimension, which isn't even that high anyway. So it requires a huge amount of light to be held in the physical form, nowhere near what we're holding right now. But what we're able to do right now is start to learn how to tap into those consciousnesses, the consciousness that exists in what everyone likes to call the new earth. I don't even know why it's called the new earth, because it's not new for her. She's already been a fifth dimensional being before. There's nothing new about it. It's actually not a great term. The new earth is not a great term. She's already been fifth dimensional for millions of years. The return of the earth. How about that? The return of earth. This was a sidestep that wasn't supposed to happen, by the way. Moving down into a third dimension was not in her design. It wasn't. And she had to pull herself with the light workers, all of you, into that fifth dimensional field. So now she's anchoring it, holding it for us, so that we can move back up into that fifth dimensional field. It's not new. There's nothing new about it. But humans use funny words. Anyway, so all right, my loves, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, it was the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria. Those are two very well-known continents that fell. They were in a fifth dimensional field when it fell, but the earth was being held in a fourth dimensional and a third dimensional field as well. It's coming out in my book. I'll be sharing all about that. Very excited. Love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Go check out that replay if you haven't already, and play with the Sirians right now, you guys. Very, very, very strong energy of them. They're ready. They're like, it's like go time for them. They're having fun. So enjoy. And let's see, when am I doing this next? 2 Tuesdays from now. So whenever that is. Today I did it on a Monday, but let me just give you the date. The 13th. August 13th, 4 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. And I have a really special announcement that I'm going to make at that time as well. Something that I'm putting together that I'm really excited to share with all of you guys. I love you. Thank you for being here. Be gentle with yourselves. Be gentle, 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 gentle. Be aware of the judgments that you're holding on yourself. Love yourself up. Love the other humans around you up. Love the animals and insects up. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.